Hi, Mac.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. We had some more exciting comics this week.
We sure did. After because there was no Marvel news last week, so
Yeah, no, it was nothing. It was a slow week.
if you didn't check out, we did a look ahead at Marvel Studios from the Investor Day. So that'll be sort of a separate thing. We're going to talk some Marvel Studios, but that will be its is back to um, you go check out that video if that's what you want to look at. But we're going to start with some comics. And why don't we start with? Nope. Well,
Right here. Well,
sure.
actually, out of order.
What's that?
This would be out of order, which is
Yeah,
typical.
give me 1 second. Anyway, why don't we talk about Black Cat while I figure out pictures?
Sure. So, yeah, this was the newest tie-in to the King in Black, which we had 3 new tie-ins to King in Black today. I really, really enjoyed Black Cat. It was a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed the Black Cat character. We've talked about how we really like those sort of street level characters, and it was really cool to bring in that sort of story to King in Black, which is obviously this huge cosmic threat with huge ramifications that just shock the Marvel universe as a whole. And yet we get this character who's her whole thing is just like stealing diamonds. So much smaller character playing a huge role in a really big story.
Yeah, and I think it was really cool how they set it up. She's being her sort of Black Cat self and just sort of stumbles upon the bigger scheme, but sees a role for her set of skills. Even though Doctor Strange, the Sentry, Captain America are all struggling, she finds a role for her to play. And she's one of those characters that keeps going, is she a villain? Is she a hero? I wouldn't call it an anti-hero because that sort of comes with a gravitas that I don't know that I feel is here, but she's definitely a thief, and she had some great interaction with Cap here, which I just thought was great. So it was not what I expected in the issue, but she has a much bigger role than I think anyone would have expected.
Yeah, definitely. And my review is up of this issue. You can check that out on laughingplace.com right now. And I mentioned just that this issue acknowledges something that often goes unacknowledged in big crossover events like this. And that's you have superheroes that are like Black Cat, like like even like Captain America, really, he's a human. He just has like abilities as a human. And then you have characters like Doctor Strange and the Sentry who have these incredible abilities and can take on these giant threats by themselves. And yet a character like this finds such an important role in such a huge story. And it was really cool that this acknowledges it. Because I mean, she really points out like how in over her head she is, and yet still manages to find a role. I think is really cool. And also just King in Black is this cool sort of sci-fi epic battle. And now we're going to have a heist subplot weaved into it, which is really cool too. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, when I first heard that Black Cat was going to be tying into King in Black, I kind of thought like, did they just look at the name and didn't realize it's probably not a great fit? But I mean, she's had her own battles with symbiotes before, but
sure.
I think they found a perfect way for this kind of book to be in this kind of event.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I said in my review as well, this is one of my favorite tie-ins to a big crossover in a long time.
So here's the one we've been talking about, Peter David's Symbiote Spider-Man, which is a past story. So you're talking sort of classic Spider-Man during, just after Secret Wars era, kind of fitting the story that was never told, because that happens all the time. And what do you think of this one?
I really liked it too. I mean, it's going to be hard for them to give me an issue within King in Black that I don't like. As long as it, actually weaves into the story. Like last week we had the Atlantis story that barely touched on King in Black at all. But yeah, no, I really like this. I like that we're getting sort of the almost like a prequel to King in Black, although I guess we've had sort of prequel for, the whole Venom series. But this is just like you get the seeds planted for King in Black well in the past. And it's really cool to see. And very interested to see how this plays out because, as we saw in the first issue, Kang is a part of this this storyline here. So, when time travel is involved, anything could really shake out here. So, really like this. I like the characters that are involved. King in Black. The Black Knight being included is pretty cool. So, different story and another fun one.
Yeah, this was actually my pick of the week. I enjoyed sort of old school Daily Bugle stuff. I enjoyed Kang. I enjoyed Black Knight. I enjoyed the twist that, I mean, you probably saw it coming from a mile away, but it was still fun to see the characters discover it and how they discover it. And, I mean, I think Peter David's one of the best sci-fi writers of my generation, but I really enjoyed this issue. There's some great issues. I enjoyed Black Cat, but this was my pick of the week. Part of it's nostalgia, but part of it's the way they write the nostalgia to feel nostalgic, but still not feel pandering. There's some great J. Jonah Jameson stuff in here, and probably the best J. Jonah Jameson stuff we've had in comics in a long time.
Yeah. There's some great classic Spidey humor in this, and just keep an eye out for panel picks coming later this week because you'll hear some more about this issue.
Immortal Hulk, King in Black.
Yeah, so our last tie-in for King in Black from this week. This was such a unique issue, and I really, really liked it. I had a hard time picking my my pick of the week this week. This is not it, so we will revisit that. But I did really, really like this. I loved the art, and actually had to show off that this issue gave me a new lock screen for my iPad.
Nice.
So, yeah, I love that this is sort of a Christmas story. Really, really unique. And I can say this, but it's not really spoiling anything. There's no dialogue in this entire issue.
But the issue does have a letterer, so.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's as you can see on that lock screen I just showed you. There's 'twas the night before Christmas, so they had to write that. But I love that. We've had some issues lately or recently. I think there was a Black Widow issue not too long ago that was very sparingly used dialogue, but I was waiting for an issue to just come out with nothing at all. And this delivered that. And I still, every panel felt like, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? Like every panel felt like it was delivering more and more story without using any words. It was really amazing to quote unquote read.
Balancing out the epicness of King in Black, the creepy of the Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk run, and the charming feel good of A Christmas Story all in one comic without using words. That is perhaps one of the best feats I've seen in comic book writing in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get Bruce Banner kind of home aloneing some symbiotes. So
yeah.
How fun is that?
Exactly. Captain America number 26, Legacy number 730, written by Tanahashi Coates, art by Leonard Kirk and Matt Miller.
Yeah, and we did issue 25, I guess a few weeks ago now. This story kind of isn't doing it for me. I mean, it's fine. I like the team of heroes that we have together here. It's sort of, Cap and his amazing friends, right? Like it's all of the Cap characters. It's just, I think for me, it goes between current story and flashback for too much of the book. And then we get to the last 3 or 4 pages of just what happens in this story. I didn't dislike reading it. I think just compared to some of the other comics we read this week, this one kind of fell a little bit flat for me.
Yeah, this has some of my favorite characters in it.
Yeah,
and it has some good character moments, but I just feel like the story's not quite clear as to where it's headed, as to what it wants to be. I think the Red Hulk gets his the best parts of this issue. I feel like they really sort of tell his story in a good way, but the Peggy, Sharon, Cap story just seems to be spinning its wheels a little bit. and you got such a great group of people that I think it could do a little bit by just having a little bit of a clearer plot line. And I don't mean that, and I don't just mean story. I mean like how it's plotted. It kind of jumps all over the place, and that's one thing if it's a sort of a trade paperback, but in a single issue, there's just not enough real estate, I think, to do as much as this issue wants to do. It's very wordy. There's not a lot of it doesn't let the art tell the story as much as some other books. Although there's some great art at the end. There's some great art in it. I just feel like the artist here should probably take a little bit of a bigger role in this particular story arc. But
yeah, no, there's absolutely some great art in this issue. I definitely enjoyed that. I just feel like this issue kind of made the previous one inconsequential. Like you said, there was a whole lot of Peggy and Sharon and Cap in the last issue. And then it kind of just moves on to, the next plot point, which obviously the Red Hulk plays a big role in. And I don't know, it just kind of, it didn't really, it did have that classic Cap sort of, really, I guess, classic bad guy, comic bad guy sort of story going on there. But yeah, I don't know. It just didn't gel with the previous issue, and it doesn't come together for me as my favorite story.
And finally, which I can take a hint, Taskmaster #2.
Yeah, I ordered them in this way because I wanted to end on a good note here. This is my pick of the week. I'm really enjoying this new series here for Taskmaster. Going back a few weeks ago with issue #1, I believe, was your pick of the week at that point. So clearly we are both on board with this series. This issue, first of all, I love the dynamic between Taskmaster and Nick Fury. I love this team up. I really like where this is going. This particular issue, this story reminded me a lot of the show The Boys, which is a very popular television show right now, which is a great show, by the way. Definitely a different audience kind of show, but still based on superheroes and a lot of fun. And this has sort of that vibe for a little bit of it, at least. So I really, really enjoyed this issue. Taskmaster is such a great character. He's hilarious, but also such an awesome, fighter. Great to see in those action sequences. So yeah, really, really like this issue.
I really like this issue too. If there was a runner-up, this would be it. I mean, just the stuff of Coulson, trying to figure out what's going on with him. Did a good job of explaining what happened if you didn't pick up some random issue of Deadpool. And I think really sets up that story pretty cool in a cool way. I really, these limited series sometimes are done in a way that makes them seem inconsequential. But this one really just, it's dealing with, I would say like a B-level here, character. He's not Iron Man,
right?
But really making him play in some of the deep corners of the Marvel universe. And I mean, I really like this issue. I thought it was really well done. And I think this is the second book by McKay that we've done talk tonight. We like both of them. So I'm glad to see. I look forward to seeing more of his work.
Yeah, definitely, totally agree. Also, on the point of Coulson, is there any character who you read now in like the actor's voice more so than Coulson? Because all I heard was Clark Gregg as I was reading it.
It's interesting because when he came on in an issue called Battle Scar, a series called Battle Scars, and he was introduced as Cheese, not as Coulson. Like the big reveal is that he was Coulson. So it's kind of had like a different, like a little bit younger, a little bit more, a little bit more swagger, I guess.
Yeah,
being the everyman that Coulson is in the MCU. So it's like funny because like to me they're two different characters that just share changed names, and I love them both. But should we head to the MCU, Marvel Studios Legends? Excuse me.
Yeah. So we just got, I don't know how many exciting announcements about what's coming from Marvel Studios. And somehow this slipped in, what was it, yesterday that was announced? Marvel Studios Legends coming to Disney Plus a week ahead of WandaVision. And this is basically going to look at key moments in the MCU, one character at a time, starting off with Wanda and Vision, ironically, going one character at a time and starting off with two characters. But
it's two different episodes, right? So there's one on each character, but they're just releasing at the same time because
got it. Okay.
I think we can figure out why they decided to release this.
Yeah, so I'm curious to know if are they going to just use this as sort of a way to hype up the next thing Marvel has coming out. It seems like that will be the case. This is, it's pretty vague, right? Like it's just telling us, they're going to focus on key moments of the MCU. Okay, I'm very curious to see how they're going to do that. I'm also 100% on board with any new Marvel content we get on Disney Plus. So,
for us, like we're so, we know everything about the MCU backwards and forwards, but I think after the Investor Day, we realized there's a lot coming. And for a casual fan, they may need like the previously on Marvel, and this might be a good way for them to do it. Just, this isn't anything. I don't want to overhype this, but, I think it's, kind of like when they used to do clip shows before the season premiere of like Lost or something. Like that's what this is to me. Is like, hey, here's what happened with Wanda. Here's where Vision was at. So now you're refreshed. If you aren't an MCU fan, you can kind of get the cliff notes and we can move ahead. So
yeah, so basically an episode recap a week before the next episode.
So we got two new casting announcements I shouldn't say announcements, reveals in internet. Rachel McAdams returning for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I don't have a picture, but Jamie Alexander, who I first got to know from ABC Family's Kyle XY, is returning as Sif in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, so the former does not surprise me. I think we expected to see Rachel McAdams back for Doctor Strange. The latter does surprise me because I kind of assumed we were done with the Lady Sif and the Warriors 3. Obviously, the Warriors 3 saw their unfortunate fate in Thor Ragnarok. Sif, if I'm remembering correctly, I think the last time we saw Sif was in an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. maybe, or maybe that was before Thor 2. Or was she? Yeah. So it was right around there. So
yeah, it would have been after Ragnarok, just after. Not Ragnarok. Dark World.
Right. Yeah. So I assumed we wouldn't be seeing Sif anymore, and I'm excited that she's a great character. So I'm excited that they are bringing her back in, especially with this group of female characters they are building within, around Asgard with Jane Foster taking up the mantle of Thor and Valkyrie obviously playing a huge role moving forward as well. So adding Sif back into that mix should make things very fun. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Well, with new excitement comes the end of things. Hellstrom, the Hulu original, which if you notice, Marvel is nowhere in this branding, even though it's based on a comic from Marvel, has been canceled. I think this was sort of a no-duh moment, unless like it did gangbusters or something, because this came from Marvel Television, which doesn't really exist anymore. Now Marvel Studios makes everything, in terms of video entertainment. So, they're going to want stuff in the MCU and a little bit less of this sort of peripheral, I'm trying to think of what a non-biblical way to describe like the stuff that's like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Runaways. That's kind of just off to the side of the MCU.
Yeah.
But you watched it, you liked it.
Yeah. So like I just said, the Sif news surprised me. This did not. We were fully expecting this to be canceled. And it's unfortunate. I knew it was coming, but it was still disappointing to see because I really liked Hellstrom. I thought it was a very good show. If you're not completely averse to horror, this had some horror elements. It's not a scary show by any means, but if you can handle even just like trace amounts of horror, I definitely recommend checking this out on Hulu. It's a very good show. Really enjoyed the casting decisions. And it is like fringe Marvel, right? Like it has just hints of it. So it has that sort of superhero vibe, but also just a different story. Really enjoyed it. Go check it out, and you can check out my review on laughingplace.com as well.
On vinyl news, Spider-Man Miles Morales' vinyl is being released by Mondo. It's available for streaming through Walt Disney Records, but if you have especially like a Marvel gamer cross section fan, this would be a great gift. I don't know if it can arrive in time, but an Easter gift or whatever.
Yeah, I've listened to the Marvel Spider-Man soundtrack countless times. I haven't listened to this one yet because I haven't played the game yet, so I don't want to get too much into it. This one too, when I saw this come out, I don't own a record player. I don't collect vinyls. That's not me. But I saw this one and I'm like, should I be collecting them? Because this looks really cool. I probably don't need to add any more different types of collections, but I really like the art on this one. This is really awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, we finally got a record player because like vinyls became like a popular gift or like publicity thing that they did. So finally, like whatever, and then it just sort of exploded. And I don't quite know why. I enjoy having them because I can listen to any music I want. But it's just such a cool packaging. It's a nice sort of style piece, even if you don't even have a record player. It's just such great art in there.
Absolutely. Just got to figure out a way to display it.
So on Tuesdays during January, we have The Wonderful World of Disney returning with films like Cinderella and The Lion King live action remake, or whatever you want to call that. But on January 12th, we have a Marvel movie.
Yeah, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Personally, still my favorite of the MCU films. If you're looking at a standalone film, I think if you take the whole thing, Endgame is, that huge cinematic, exciting craziness. I don't even know how to describe it at this point, but Winter Soldier as a standalone movie, I think is probably still my favorite MCU film. So it's exciting to see that it'll be airing on ABC for The Wonderful World of Disney.
Speaking of Cap, they announced that they're doing a anniversary extravaganza where they're remastering or redrawing the Captain America comic as well as his first appearance in the Avengers.
Yeah, and it's a giant size tribute issue. The list of artists that are involved in this issue is staggering. It's somewhere between like 25 and 30 different artists. So obviously, this is going to be a longer issue, and there's going to be some amazing artwork in this one. So if you are more a fan of the comic book art as opposed to just the story, because this is obviously not going to be a new, progressing Captain America story. It's more for like, celebrating the history of Cap. And the artwork in this is going to be fantastic. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, I almost feel it's a little sacrilegious. Like, no, Jack, I can do it. No, nowhere, Mr. Kirby. I'll take a new stab at it. I mean, I want people to express themselves. I want them to have new takes on it. I just hope they really take it like to the extreme, because otherwise there's no point. Like, don't just draw your version of that, because then we already have that done by Jack Kirby, and I don't.
Right.
You need to really embrace your style. You need to really embrace taking it in a new direction. Otherwise, I don't know why you'd want to compete with Jack Kirby. Obviously, technology has changed, style has changed, but it's like, it's a little bit like, I'm going to do my own version of the Mona Lisa. Like,
yeah, no, I fully expect it to be like what you're talking about, with sort of every page bringing its own different style. If you remember, I guess it was last year, Marvel Comics 1000 came out, and it was 80 pages, and each page was a different creative team, so a different writer, a different artist. And everyone, it was just it was like a different book each page. So I'm expecting something similar to that, just given the number of artists and all of their, vastly different styles being involved in this book.
Also on the comic front, Thor and Loki double trouble.
Yeah, speaking of different styles, this is obviously a very different artistic style brought to these characters, and it's from the same creative team that did the Spider-Man and Venom Double Trouble comic, and now we got this new Thor and Loki one coming up in March. So that should be this. I mean, I love it's. I like for if I'm really want to get into like a comic series, I like that more sort of serious, dark style of art. But if you want something just like fun to just pick up and at any point, this style of art is so much fun to just flip through.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. Like for like the main storyline event, like this wouldn't work. But I love having a different take on something where it's comfortable. Like it's almost like comfort food with a new twist, and I like that. It's um I especially in sort of the 2020 world we live in, although this comes out in 2021, like it's nice to have something that's just a little bit less intense.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, it's sort of like a palate cleanser after King in Black.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously we get Loki series coming in May on Disney Plus, and more Thor coming from the MCU. So those are characters that are still going to be on the forefront of the consciousness. So comic fans will be able to get, still explore that character in its original form. Or I shouldn't say Thor and Loki in their original form, because that would be like Nordic tablets, but comic form. So one character he didn't actually create.
Right.
So that's what we got for this week.
Yeah, coming off the heels of that, the crazy slate of Marvel stuff that was announced last week, which again you can check out our look ahead video from Monday. And then I also wrote up what the future of the MCU will be looking like, and you can check that out as well on laughingplace.com.
And just so you know, we're about a month away, but what we're going to do is we'll still do Marvel Time every week, talk news and comics and whatever else floats our boat. But then every Monday we'll be doing Maxim Off Mondays, where we will be talking about the latest episode of WandaVision, and our thoughts and takes on that as well. So that will be coming starting after the 15th, so 16th, 18th, I guess, and we'll be doing that for the course of the series in a similar way that they did Mando Mondays with Mike and Rebecca.
Yeah, I was going to say, coming off of Mando Mondays, now we're going to have Maximoff Mondays. We're going to have to figure out another M for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series.
Yeah, that has not escaped me.
Listen, unless we're going to do this like right off the bat, as soon as the episode's done, we start doing Falcon Fridays. That might be a little bit tough.
Yeah, that would be obvious, but we want to give people a chance to see the episode.
Yeah, probably
for themselves. Okay, well, and then I don't think there's a lot going on next week. We've got brand new comics coming out next week. Excited about the continuation of King in Black.
Yeah, King in Black.
Star Wars comics too. We talk MCU here, but Mike has his review of the latest Darth Vader comic by Greg Pak up online as well.
And on the topic of King in Black, I just want to share that I saw Ryan Stegman on Twitter, the artist who does King in Black, talk about he had just been reading the PDF for King in Black #3, and he said it was the greatest thing this creative team has ever put together. So once again, the hype is at a new level for me for King in Black. So definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, I heard a podcast with him where he was talking about like he feels his greatest work was actually not yet released.
Yeah. So there should be some more crazy things coming in King in Black. I'm so excited.
Cool. Well, thanks everybody, and join us later for Movie Club at 7:30. We're talking about safety. Bye, everybody. Oh, and don't forget 5:30, Jeremiah, Theme Park History 101.
Yes.